They sold my youth as if it were merchandise. I still remember the smell of that big house, the white mansion in the suburbs of Cleveland, Ohio. It didn't smell like home. It smelled of polished wood, of expensive furniture no one ever touched. The silence inside was heavy, almost suffocating. And in that silence, I lost my youth. My name is Margaret Johnson. And today, nearly 80 years old, I decided to finally tell the truth. Because nobody ever wanted to hear my voice. Maybe you, listening right now, are the very first person who truly does. I was 17, senior year of high school. The girls talked about prom night, about the dresses they would wear, the boys they hoped would ask them out. I dreamed of it too, a blue dress, simple, with embroidered flowers my mother could sew. But I never wore that dress. I never danced that night. Back then, my father, Richard Williams Johnson, said over and over that a pretty girl should never go to waste. He believed the greatest gift a daughter could give to her family was to marry well. And when I say well, it wasn't about love. It was about money. That's how I met Charles Peterson, 40 years old. A businessman, CEO of a major transportation company, 23 years older than me. I still wore braids in my hair. He already had gray in his beard. I wanted to go to the movies with my friends. He wanted me to learn how to welcome guests at formal dinners. The first time we met, he took me to dinner at a restaurant in New York City. The table had crystal glasses, napkins folded like fans, and all I could think about was the milkshake at the diner next to my school. While he spoke about investments, I stared out the window and saw girls laughing on the sidewalk, wearing jeans and colorful jackets, and I knew that wasn't my world. But no one asked me what I wanted. No one. My parents decided for me. It's the best thing for you, Margaret. You'll thank us one day. But I never thanked them. I married at 18. The Methodist church was packed. I wore a heavy pearl-embroidered gown that barely let me breathe. Women stared at me with envy, but if they had looked closer, they would have seen the fear in my eyes, a fear that screamed in silence. At the reception, I remember the giant 3-tier cake, but I didn't eat a single bite. My stomach was shut tight, as if I had swallowed stones. The honeymoon wasn't sweet. It was a contract being signed. The body of a girl handed over to a man I never loved. And that night, a part of me died inside. I wanted to study. I dreamed of becoming a literature teacher. I loved writing poems in secret, hiding them in notebooks tucked away in my drawer. But instead, I became a housewife. The CEO's wife, they said proudly, as if it were a title. Mornings smelled of strong coffee and folded newspapers. Charles read about Wall Street. I washed cups, and deep inside, I asked myself, is this it? Is this the life I'm going to have? I had 2 children very young. Emily Carter Peterson was born when I was 19, Michael Peterson when I was 21. Of course, I loved them, but I was still a child raising other children, while my friends traveled, went off to college, discovered the world. I stayed home packing lunchboxes and swallowing tears in the bathroom. Do you know what hurts the most? Not only the things I lived through, but the things I never lived at all. I never went to a concert with friends, never danced with my eyes closed, lost in the music, never took a trip alone with just a backpack. Never tasted the freedom of choosing for myself. Nobody ever asked me if I was okay. Charles was respected, wealthy, a man everyone admired, but he never truly looked me in the eyes. To him, I was an accessory. A wife who smiled at business dinners, a pretty shadow to complete the photograph. There were days I thought about running away. I remember one afternoon sitting in the front seat of his black Cadillac, staring at the road. I thought of driving until I disappeared. But then I thought of my children, and I stayed. I always stayed. Now looking back, I see it clearly. They stole my youth, but they did not steal my soul. It took me decades to understand that. It took me decades to forgive the girl I was for not being brave enough, and decades to forgive myself for accepting so much silence. Today, when I feel the wind on my face, I close my eyes and imagine I'm 17 again. I imagine I can still dance in the rain, even if no one is watching, because life still belongs to me. Even now, they stole my youth, but they didn't steal my life, because today I choose to live